So in today's video, we are looking at working with classes. Of course, you can look at the previous video of how to create these folders, and I've commented out the code for what we did with objects, and today we are looking at classes. Okay, so before I continue, you might be thinking, why do I need to even learn programming basics at this time when I can just ask ChatGPT to generate code for me? Or why should I learn the basics when I can use AI code editors to build an entire project? Well, here's the thing. ChatGPT and the AI tools are great at generating code for simple projects, but they struggle when you want to achieve something new or to build complex projects with multiple microservices. So the real opportunities lie where artificial intelligence models struggle, and they will continue to struggle because these models are trained on older coding datasets. So for solving new problems, you need software engineers and developers, and that's where you come in. So in today's video, we are diving deep into JavaScript classes. So before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you are excited to learn about JavaScript classes. So in JavaScript, we have classes just like other programming language. You define a class using the class keyword followed by the class name. Of course, the class looks similar to objects that we did in previous video, but it's quite different, and the reason is because a class is like a blueprint, and each instance of the class is like a house you build from that blueprint. So if you have a particular blueprint, you can then use it to create more houses or expand on this. So let's say we want to create a class called student. So we use a keyword class, and the name of that class is starts capital letter. So let's say class student, and then your curly bracket, click on tab, and then every class has a constructor. So this constructor takes in the properties that you'll be using in the class. So we can say constructor, tab, open your bracket to put the properties that you will be using in this class. So we can say, what is the property of the student? We can say first name, then we can say last name, then we can say email, then we can say age, for example, and then put curly brackets and tab. So we use the this keyword to refer to these properties inside the student class. So we can say this dot first name is equal to first name. However, I explained how this keyword works extensively in the previous video on objects, so you can check out that video. And then we'll put a semicolon here. Then say this dot last name tab is equal to last name semicolon, and say this dot email is equal to email. Then we can say this dot age is equal to age. So this is the properties in this student class. So anytime I want to create a student, I will just need to enter the values for this property. We'll see that shortly. So in a layman explanation, this keyword means that anytime you fill in the first name value, use that value you have here as the first name. If I fill in the last name value, use this last name here as the last name of that particular student. So with this, I could create multiple students by just a single line of code. The class is supposed to create a blueprint that we can use and even expand. So if you are following along, drop a comment below and let me know if you have any questions so far on the class constructor and the this keyword. So now let's create a couple of instances of this student class. And how do we create these new instances? So like I said, just creating new student profile, right? So we can say const student1 small letter, so a variable student1 is equal to, so use a new keyword to create an instance of the student. You use the new keyword to create the instance of that class. So we can say const student is equal to new, then we call on the class name called student, open brackets, and then we fill in the properties that were already defined in the class. So the first property is the first name, so I say Victor and then comma. The second property is the last name, I say Roland, comma. Then the email property, I said victorhsrw.org. And then the last property is the age. Age is a number, so 25. And then you put your semicolon. So we have created the first student, the first instance of that class. So each instance of that class has its own property. So now let's create a second student. Let's say const student2 is equal to, use a new keyword, new, then call on the class student, open bracket, and with semicolon, fill in the properties for the second student. So let's say Stella, the last name is Roland, and then we have email, stella@hsr.org, then the age, let's say 24. Okay, so now we have the two instances of the student class. So now let's print the property of each student. So we can decide to print the first name of student 1 or the email of student 1. So let's print the first name of student 1. So we can say console.log, on your bracket, and student 1. We call on the variable we created, student 1 dot. You see that IntelliSense gives us which or what we need to access. So they want the first name. So this will print out the first name of student 1, which you can see here is Victor. Then we can also have access to the student 2, console.log student 2. So let's say the last name of student 2. So with this, you can create multiple instances for that class student, and you can access the properties of those students. So we can also print the age, say, okay, what's the age of the second student? We can say console.log student2.age. So we should expect 24, right? So we'll see 24 on the screen. So if you are learning something or this is more explanatory than what you've done before, do not forget to like this video. Okay, and we'll keep going. So we can add another property to the person class. Let's say this property now, tax identification number, because in Germany everyone must have a tax ID. But the thing is, we don't want this property to be publicly accessible or for anyone to modify this property. So that's where what we call getters and setters come into the game. So we can define a getter for the tax ID like this. So we can say get tax ID, curly bracket. So inside this get tax ID, we want to return only the last 4 digits. But the thing is, we need to make the tax ID private. So we don't want anybody to access it. So we need to create a variable, a private variable using the pound sign or the hash sign, hash tax ID. So I create an empty string for this. So we want the get tax ID to just return the last 4 digits. So we can create that by saying return. We do a string interpolation using the backtick, semicolon, and then we can say asterisk, $, curly brackets. Then we say this dot. We put the pound sign because it's a private field, tax ID dot slice -4. So this method shows that when we want to get the tax ID value, we will not get the complete thing. We'll only get the last 4 digits. That's why the slice -4 comes into the game. Then we want to set the property. So we use the setter. So because every student have their tax ID, right? So you want to be able to store this in your database. So use set tax ID, and you're going to put in a value, curly brackets, this dot, the private field hashtag tax ID is equal to the value that we just entered. So it will take in the value from you and then store it in the private field. So whenever anyone wants to access or retrieve the tax ID using the getter, the person will only get the last 4 digits. You know, this is also common with credit cards, when you receive information from your banks or from the credit card, sometimes some of the digits are asterisk and you only get the last 4 digits. So that is the same idea we are using in this application. So the idea is that we encapsulated the tax ID property, so preventing direct access and modification. So now let's test the tax ID functionality that we just created. Okay, so we know that the student one is Viktor, so let's give him some tax ID. So we can say student one dot tax ID is equal to, let me say, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 semicolon, and then let's print it out to the screen. Console.log student1.tax ID, and what we get, so you see the output on the screen, we only get the last 4 digits. That is so cool. So basically this is just encapsulation in object-oriented programming, and JavaScript helps you to do that with the private field, setting and getting and then making it a private field. And we use string interpolation to retrieve only the last 4 digits. So this is very useful when you want to protect sensitive information or ensure that the value that you set follows certain rules. Okay, one more thing before I show you another real life application. We can also add functions to the class, or rather method. So we can add a method to our class and we can create a method. Okay, this is still our class. We can create a method called full name. So you can just say get full name, which is our method, put the parentheses, then curly bracket, enter tab. So we want it to return the full name of the student. So we do return string interpolation, your $, and then we put curly bracket and say this dot first name. So whenever we call on the get full name method, it returns the first name, the $, curly bracket, this dot last name, semicolon here. Okay, so when we do student1 dot get full name, we should be able to retrieve, clear this. So to clear, we do this, clear and brackets, console what's cleared. Okay, so to get the full name method that we use, we can just say console.log student1 dot full name, get full name, put the parenthesis at the end and semicolon. So you can see that we have Viktor Roland as the full name. So that's how to add methods to your class. You can add other methods to do other things for your class. The thing is, this method you can also use or convert it to the arrow function. We treated arrow function in one of the videos. You can check my playlist for that. So we can just simply change it to the arrow function by saying get full name, which is the name of the method. You say equal to open parentheses and then the arrow sign, and then we put our message, string interpolation, this curly bracket first, curly bracket, this dot first name, then the $, again, curly brackets, this dot last name, semicolon here. I like to put semicolon even in JavaScript because I program with object-oriented programming, and in other programming languages in the semicolon at the end of the code. So, and sometimes there are some places where JavaScript requires this. So I don't want to stress my brain knowing where and where not to put the semicolon. So I always put the semicolon at the end of the code. So it's better safe than sorry, right? Okay, so we have created this arrow function so we can comment this out, and this still works. If you still do console.log student get full name, we still get the same thing. Viktor Roland, the full name is printed. So I can even comment out the rest. Control KC. So we'll get Roland, Viktor Roland as the full name. So yeah, you could decide to use the arrow function or the normal way of writing the method. Doesn't really make much difference in this case. We have covered the essential concepts of JavaScript classes, constructor properties. Now, before you go, I'm going to show you a real scenario where the class functionality is used And if you have seen an e-commerce website, you know that most of the times they give you discounts. So an example of an e-commerce website would be Amazon. So this is an example of an e-commerce website, and you see that sometimes, or most of the times, they give you deals, they give you discounts, and this can be implemented using classes. Discount on a particular product. So let's look at how you can do this. So let me comment this out. So comment all of the class student out. So multiple line comment, use / asterisk, and then go to the end, asterisk, /. So imagine we are now working with the Amazon and we are building the online store, and you want to represent each product in your store as a class. So we can say class product, capital letter, product. Okay, then we have our curly brackets. So inside this class product, we now define the constructor, which are the properties of the class. So what are the properties of this class? So what are the values that we will receive for each product? So of course we need the name of the product, and then we need the price, and then we need a category. So what we want to do is we want to give discounts to a product, and so we can put curly bracket and say we use what? The this keyword. So this.name is equal to name, this.price is equal to price, and this.category is equal to category. So like we said, it will get the values from you and then assign it to name, price, category. So this makes it possible for us to create different products easily. So programming is all about do not repeat yourself. So when you're writing code, you want to make sure to reuse your code as much as possible. So now inside this product, we create a method to calculate the discount. So we can say apply, the method is called apply discount. So it will take the amount of discount I want to add and say discount. Then we have the curly brackets and we write the functionality of this method. So we can say this price. So say this price is equal to this.price minus this.price times discount divided by 100. Yeah, so hold up, what am I doing here? So let me explain this method. Now, how do we do the discount calculation? We say this price, that is the current price, multiplied by the discount divided by 100. So now you are entering a value of discount, and we want that amount to be in percentage, and that's why we are dividing by 100. So if you put discount of 10, so that will be 10 divided by 100, which will be 0.1. Then multiply by that 0.1 with the current price, and then we subtract that discount from the actual price, and this becomes the new price. I hope this is not confusing. Okay. So now let's look at an example. And so we want to create a product, So we'll say const laptop. We want to create a laptop. Then we use the new keyword. It's equal to new, call on the product class, product. And what are the parameters that we gave? What are the properties? So we have name. So what's the name of this product? We call it Lenovo. So this Lenovo L340, and then we put the price, so 2,000 euros, let's say, and you can choose to put the category or not, but let's say category will be computers. Okay, so now we have created the first instance or the first product called laptop, or perhaps it makes more sense to call it Lenovo L340. So we want to apply a 10% discount, and so we can say Lenovo L34, the variable we created, dot, we call on that method apply discount, and how much discount we want to apply as a 10% discount, 10, and we close this. So we need to print out our calculation in the method, so let's go back and print it out because that's why there was no output. So we can use string interpolation, console.log, backtick, $. I do this a lot. You should also do it for muscle memory, so you don't need to think about how to do string interpolation. So this.name is Now priced at $, curly bracket, this dot price after a discount 10% or after a 10% discount. So we can see after a string interpolation $, curly brackets, discount of 10%. So we can see in the output that Lenovo L340 is now priced at $1,800 after a 10% discount. So a 10% discount from 2,000 gives us 1,800. Now there you have it, a real life scenario of how to create a class, add property, create a method, and have fun making classes. So this video has covered 95% of what you need when you are working with classes.
Wow.
So of course there are other things that you can do, but at this moment as a beginner, this gives you almost everything you need. There are edge cases which I do not cover, and you can learn them when you need them. So practice out this, and if you have not subscribed, kindly subscribe to this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you have questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.